Today on the Exercises Health Podcast, we are celebrating a huge client win. We're going to cue our introduction and then tell you what is going on. And welcome back, everybody, to the Exercises Health Podcast, brought to you by Muscle Activation Schaumburg. We're your hosts, Charlie
and Julie.
And today we are celebrating a huge client win. We are so excited for what one of our clients has experienced over the last number of years with working with Julie and some of the results that she just got back. We want to tell you all about that. We want to let you know that if you are interested in working with us here at Muscle Activation Schaumburg, where we specialize in using muscle activation techniques, all you have to do to see our availability and get on our schedule is go to www.matschaumburg.com, click the big green button that says Get Started, and you can schedule yourself for your initial MAT consultation and assessment. So Julie, a few days back, you got some incredible news from a client that you've been working with for close to 5 years now.
Yep.
And she has been arguably your most consistent client over that period of time, coming in multiple times a week. And what she got back as far as results from her doctor not only surprised her, they surprised her doctor. And for us, it was like such the sweet sound of like validation of stuff that we have been saying for so long. And then all of a sudden there were objective results to say like, yes, you're doing the right things. Yes, for her, you're doing the right things. Yes, keep going in the direction that you're going because everything is looking really good. So why don't you dive in and catch us all up to speed about what's been going on?
All right, so that's right. So one of my clients, I've been working with her for about 5 years. And what was really cool is that near the beginning of our time together, she had a DEXA scan. And that DEXA scan showed that she had osteopenia. And so if you're not familiar with it, osteopenia is the stages before osteoporosis. So you're not at like full bone mineral density, but you're also not at what they would call full osteoporosis. So then just recently she had a DEXA scan. So it had been about 4 years since she had a DEXA scan. And the first one she was, she started with me when she was 65. Now she's 70. So it was like 4 years in there. And she got her scan and it said that she had osteopenia. And I told my client, I said, what you want to ask is how does it compare to your last scan? Because one data point is one data point. It doesn't tell you where you were, what direction you're going, yada, yada, right? And so she said, can you look at my last DEXA scan 4 years ago? How does it compare? And they pulled the scans up and she said that they literally like squinted and was like, you got better? Like a question. And I was like, that is so amazing for a couple reasons. Is because most of the time when people are diagnosed with osteopenia, osteoporosis, they obviously didn't have that their whole life. So they're like progressing in that downward progression. And a lot of times too, given age, especially if you're in your mid 60s, 70s, they're like, oh, that's normal, it's common. It is normal and common. But what is not normal and common is for women or men to regularly be putting their bodies in a physical environment that changes that, right? And so this scan showed that her as closely as we could, that her physical participation in life has started to change that. Because also, this is a good one. The month leading up to her scan, she's like, Julia, I've been taking like my supplements, not my calcium. I haven't been doing my stuff that I was supposed to be doing. I guess I'll take a few before my scan, which we all know that probably didn't do very much because it's just a few before her scan. But what she has been doing over the last 4 or 5 years has made her time from the age of 65 to 70 actually improve her bone mineral density, which is so cool.
Yeah, just think about that for a second. Like from the age of 65 until 70, her bones actually got more dense. That's absolutely incredible.
Insane.
That's
so cool.
Absolutely incredible because the story that is out there is, well, once that starts, that cascading effect, you're just, downhill, from there, like, downward spiral, really nothing you could, yeah, sure, you can take your calcium and everything like that, we're just kind of delaying the inevitable, like more or less like that's the song that's being sung to so many people, women in particular, about their bone density. Is like it's inevitable that it's going to happen, and when it starts, it's just you're just on a downward spiral from there, and best you can do is just kind of hold on for dear life. Like I mean, I don't want to be like over dramatic about it, but that's what so many clients have presented to you in particular about what's being told to them about this process of losing density in their bones. And here is somebody who, over the course of, been working with you for 5 years, but from over a 4-year period, from one scan to the next, her bones got more dense.
That's right.
Her bones objectively got more dense. And
Yes.
it wasn't because she was taking her calcium supplements, because admittedly she wasn't.
She wasn't.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing in particular? Because I know a couple of years back, like you were really focused on learning more about how you can help clients like her and other women who are wanting to increase their bone density through exercise. And so what kind of things have you been doing with her in her workouts that have really, that you believe not only matched up with the research, but likely made a difference?
Yeah, so just as a more background, this client, she had weight trained with a trainer at a gym, doing classes, doing this and that, right? Like general exercise for many years. But still, at the age of 65 or 66, whatever age she got that scan, she had still developed osteopenia. And so I realized when I started diving into more of this topic, which was probably like 2 years ago, so we probably have been implementing this strategy for about 2 years, is that to make a difference in bone density, you can't just do general exercise. Can't just do general exercise. It's not specific enough for bone mineral density. And that is one of the biggest things that women tell me all the time. I can't believe that I have osteopenia. I've been active my whole life. And it's like, okay, you've been active. That's amazing. But it's not very good for being really specific at bone mineral density. So there was a couple things that I thought really stood out about this woman's training that we've been doing. Number one is we lift really heavy. Heavy is the priority. So a lot of times when I train people, or even like, it's normal. Like when you increase your weight, a couple things happen, right? You can't do as many reps. And so we're saying we are going to prioritize weight over reps. So we used to do 15. Now we do 6. And that's okay.
As far as reps.
As far as reps, that's right. Because we're saying I would rather see you do heavier weight, physically heavier weight, and do less reps and have more rest than to fill the time doing, kind of hard reps.
It's
right?
not like a circuit training where you got to keep your heart rate elevated the whole time and you're just trying to burn calories. It's like no. We're focused on building your strength. We're going heavy.
That's right. So heavy weight needs to happen. We also prioritize heavy weight over range. So when you go heavier in weight, you're going to notice your ability to handle range of motion goes down. And we have decided that we're okay with that. We do also range of motion training. We just keep it separate. Because to change bone density, we have to have that heavy weight, right? And so we're always doing bigger lifts, at least every session, at least 1 to 2 really, really big lifts. They're short, they're sweet, and they're heavy. And they aren't this grandiose, giant range of motion. But we do that range of motion. So I bring that up because that's always the objective that I get. It's like, okay, well, like I only did 6 reps, okay? Or, oh, I can't do full range of motion. Am I losing too much range of motion? Well, if you keep all your range of motion or keep all your 1,000,000 billion reps, then you're not getting enough weight in. You're not getting enough. So that is the first thing, is heavy weight. And always pushing the weight. Of course, yes, we're being mindful of form. We're not getting injured. But heavy weight, that's the first one.
Yeah, can I just say that it's been really impressive seeing her progress with the weights that you're having her use.
Yes.
And the weights that she's able to handle. Especially once you started having her do back squats and deadlifts and things like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she's up to using 95 pounds for back squats now, which means she has 95 pounds across her back and she's squatting it for reps. And she's doing multiple sets of that multiple times a week. That's a really solid amount of weight that is being applied to her frame. And then she's, has it for a good amount of time on her back when she's doing her reps. So that's been really cool to see.
Yes.
And then other things like the farmer's carries that you've been having her do. Is she using 35-pound dumbbells?
35-pound dumbbells
yeah, so
in each
she's
hand.
carrying 70 pounds, 35 pounds in each hand. Again, for probably 20, 25 yards,
Yep.
down and back. So close to, call it 50 yards. She's doing it. Again, like multiple times a week, multiple
Yep.
sets.
Yep.
Like that's extremely impressive. Especially when you consider that she's 70 years old.
Yep.
It's really remarkable, and it's come from a consistent effort and prioritizing it. She prioritizing it, and you prioritizing it, and her
Yes.
body has changed.
Yes. The next thing that we've been focusing on, and I like that you're putting the numbers to it because you see her train all the time too, but because this is like real, and I think people think that it's something they can't achieve, and it's totally something that they can achieve. Okay, so the next thing in the training that we've been prioritizing is that we do impact training each time. Now, when I say impact training, people normally think like, well, I can't run for 30 minutes. I'm not asking anyone to run for 30 minutes. I don't want you to do, 10,000 reps of an impact. We literally do 6 jumps off of a block twice. So there's 12 twice a week, or 3, however many times she's coming in that week. There's 12 big jumps. And so again, it's not like a million billion. That's what I think a lot of women in that age category are used to, because it's always some modification of a cardio thing.
Right.
Where it's like 1,000 million reps of this, a million of those. I'm going to walk for 30 minutes with my weighted vest on. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. Maybe it's not hurting you, but it's still not going to be enough. So the heavy weight training, and remember, it's short and sweet and impactful. And then we do the little impact training, which is, we do 12 each session, but every single time, 12.
Now, the box that she's worked up to being able to jump down off of is 20 inches.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yep.
That's really, really, really cool. It didn't start at 20 inches.
No.
I would say it probably started somewhere 4 to 6 inches.
Yep.
And then over the last couple of years, it's progressed a little bit higher,
Yep.
And guess what? You do something consistently, multiple times a week, and over a couple of years, you're going to see noticeable improvements. She's arguably jumping at least 2.5 times higher,
Yes.
if not more, than what she was jumping down from before.
That's right.
I should say at least 3 times higher than where she was jumping down from before. That's incredible.
Yes.
It's absolutely incredible. Again, doing it for reps, and we're not saying start there. Don't start there.
Yes.
You got to start at somewhere that's appropriate for your body. For her, it would not have been appropriate to start at 20 inches. But doing it consistently over time, her body has adapted, and she's able to jump down from 20 inches now, which again, at 70 years old, is just remarkable. She's not complaining about her knees. She's not complaining about her ankles. She's not complaining about her back when she does these things, because you've allowed her to do it in a safe way that builds her strength every step of the way. It's been really cool to see.
So yes, and then the next thing that is really, there's 2 more things that I want to highlight. The next thing that makes her training different than other women that I've worked with in the past that were trying to make an impact on their bone density was her frequency. So I'm not sure what it is in the emotional construct, but sometimes when I'm like, okay, I know the research says a minimum of 3 times. And then what happens is that if a woman is like, I feel comfortable coming in once a week, but I have tracked 2 different clients that have had a similar training style, but just once a week, and their bone loss, their osteopenia continued to progress. So we know that frequency was not high enough.
So say that a different way. You had a client who is coming in once a week, doing basically the same training as this client who's coming in twice a week, and the once a week was not enough.
Correct.
The bone mineral density continued to get worse over time, despite them trying to take the right efforts, but the volume, the frequency throughout the week was not enough compared to this client who was doing it twice a week, just 1 day more per week.
Yeah.
It changed. It actually got better.
Yes. So the frequency really matters. And then the last piece, this kind of goes into frequency, but this client is a normal human. She develops normal aches and pains, and she has a normal body that needs maintenance. And the amount of times, she's like anyone else. We are constantly maintaining her body with MAT. And it's not from injuries from our training, but it's like, she went on vacation and she slipped and she fell down when she was trying to get on a horse, for example. So then she had an achy back for a while, And the amount of times she said, if you didn't have MAT, I would be on a 2-month break right now, waiting for my back to heal. And so instead, because of the attentiveness to form and because of the use of muscle activation techniques, is that she continued to train even when her body wasn't 100%. And the training only helped her. It never was like, I'm doing this and it's dumb that I'm doing this, right? It's like, I'm doing this and my body's getting stronger. So through, she has really like structurally really flat feet, so they get kind of achy. And then a back injury she had, and then a shoulder thing she had, all of these normal body things that she experienced, she continued to train really hard through. So again, it was heavy training, the impact training, through, the last 5 years. And in my guess, probably the last 2 years have been what has really made an impact on her bone density.
So I want to highlight a couple things that you just said, because this is really remarkable to me. First of all, the research says that a minimum of 3 days a week is what is needed in order to achieve these results. However, she got these results training twice a week. Okay, and so if you read research and you're like, okay, well, it says a minimum of 3 times a week. Truth of the matter is that may be accurate based on the effectiveness of what was done, right? When you got laser focused and she got laser focused on, all right, this is what we need to do in order to improve bone mineral density. We need to lift heavy for fewer reps, and we need to go higher intensity. We need to be doing our impact training. We need to make sure we stay consistent, so we're tuning things up with MAT. Then, instead of having to be 3 days a week, it could just be 2 days a week. And so that is huge. That is huge. Number 2 is she didn't let aches and pains stop her from continuing to go forward. I mean, how many times you're like, oh yeah, well, this hurts, so I'm just going to take a week off. Oh, well, it's been a week, I'm going to give it another week. And all of a sudden, it's been 2, 3, 4 weeks. And now you're trying to get back into it. You're not able to go as heavy. You're not able to go as intense. You're not able to jump from as high because your body has become more deconditioned. And we all know this cycle that people go through. She didn't have that mindset. She said, okay, well, even if my body feels this way, I'm going to come in, I'm going to get my body tuned up so I can get back to lifting heavy, doing the impact training, the things I know need to happen in order to improve my bone density. So that's a huge thing. So it's a completely different mindset on her part. And then it was laser focused for both you and her on what needs to be done, just sticking with that. There was never a time where it's like, oh yeah, we're going to mix it up today. We're going to do some high intensity interval training, just keep your heart moving, bounce from one thing to the next. And then, there was none of that. There was none of that. It's like, we're lifting heavy, we're doing our heavy carries, we're doing an impact training. If something feels off, then, we're going to tune you up with MAT. You stuck to that plan. And because you stuck to that plan, you reduced the frequency that is typically recommended to get those same results. You reduced it by a third.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That is so cool. I didn't even think of that.
That is so cool. That is so cool. So here's the thing. If you're hearing this right now, you're like, okay, yeah, I know I need to improve my bone mineral density. And I know that I, should be doing this exercise thing, but, maybe I can only go once or twice a week. Look, once a week is not enough. Twice a week is only enough if you're going to be as locked in and laser focused, and do it if you have the mindset of like, okay, this is going to be a 4 or 5 year project. Okay. So the only way that you're getting these results otherwise is if you are going to be doing it more frequently, if you're going to keep that consistency and you still keep your long-term focus. It's not going to happen any faster. It's not going to happen with less effort. It's not going to happen with less time. There are minimum requirements that need to be met. And through Julie's focus and this client's focus on zeroing in of this is the thing that we're doing, we're only sticking to this, they were able to reduce what was originally recommended as a minimum. They were able to cut it back by a third and still get those results, all right? Which is absolutely remarkable. But if you're doing this on your own, you got to understand that there's no margin for like, I'm going to take, a few weeks off here and there, or I'm not going to go as intensely. That can't be what happened. That's not what this client did. Julie did not allow her to do that. She had the tools to make sure she could keep training intensely, keep training frequently. And because of that, client's bone density increased between the age of 66 and 70.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Which is just absolutely remarkable.
Yes.
Absolutely remarkable. So if you are hearing this right now and you would like our guidance on helping you with this, either with improving your bone density or improving your strength, getting back into exercise, whatever it is, whether you're having some aches and pains or anything like that, that's exactly what we can help you do at Muscle Activation Schaumburg, where we specialize in using muscle activation techniques. All you have to do to see our availability and get on our schedule is go to our website, www.matschaumburg.com. Click the big green button that says Get Started, and you can schedule yourself for your initial MAT consultation and assessment. So share this with somebody who needs to hear this. There are so many women out there in particular that need to hear this message about building bone density, what needs to be done, how focused they need to be with their, it's not like this woman was all consumed. She only cared about coming here. Like you said, she traveled, she lived her life, she did so many other things. But this was a priority for her. And so her workouts reflected that as a priority. So share this with somebody that needs to hear this message. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave us a rating and review. We truly appreciate your time and attention every single week. It means the world to us. We are wishing you a fantastic week, and we'll talk with you all next week.
This podcast is for information purposes only. The statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Julie and Charlie Gates, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements or advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical issue, consult a licensed physician.